Good morning, everybody. Normally we would have had Judy today, but she's been under the weather. So she and I swapped dates to give her ample time to recover. And she's got something really special planned along with Rick and a surprise guest. So at the end of the month, you'll get to see what that's all about. So welcome to Channing Unitarian Universalist Church. We're glad you joined us for worship today. Whoever you are, whatever your theological, spiritual, political, sexual, or racial orientation or gender identity, you are welcome to worship here and become part of this community. Are there any announcements? Yes, Deb. Chocolate auction
is next Sunday. Mm-hmm. So need a lot of baked goods. So invited churches to come and join us. So I'd like to make sure we have plenty of option on. If you have any questions about what to do or whatever, you'll see me or Aaron. After the service, and we do have some papers or cards that you can take with you today, and it's basically to say the item that you have, if there's any special ingredients inside, and who it's made by, in case anybody has a question about something, we know who to go to. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. Anything else?
I think Aaron wanted to meet with anybody who's going to be volunteering that day. So me and Rick and anybody else who wants to like run items up and down to kind of go over the process. Because I think we're going to try and do it a little bit differently this year than we have in the past, just to make it move a little bit smoother. So she wanted to get everybody together. So during coffee hour, we'll all sit together and have a chat about it. Let's see. Any other announcements? We have a craft night on Tuesday at 6:30. We'll do it in the office because it's warmer in the office. I think that's it. Coffee house in March 11th.
All right. And also in March will be the Chinese auction,
that's
dinner
right.
and auctions.
Yep.
So if you have any items, maybe something you got for Christmas, something you haven't used that's good enough to put out there, and we can start bringing that stuff in also for that. It could be a surprise item. It could be stationery. It could be I don't know, a candle.
It's kind of like a white elephant type deal.
Yeah.
So anyone watching at home, I just want you to know, like, cherish.
So anything like that, I can talk to you more about it during coffee hour.
Right. I think we covered everything, right? We're kind of getting back into gear. So, we kind of slow down over the winter, but spring's coming and we're going to be busy again. Okay. So before we move on, we have some days of observance to cover. So February is Black History Month. I'm not going to get into the background of Black History Month. I think everybody's familiar with it by this point. But I did find a website that does a this day in history style thing, but it's all Black history. So I wanted to share the entry from February 5th. So this is blackhistory.today. February 5th, Hank Aaron, one of America's greatest baseball players, born February 5th, 1934 in Mobile, Alabama. Rick and I lived 5 hours from there. We've been to Mobile. It's an interesting place. The Baseball Hall of Famer held the Major League Baseball record 33 years with 755 career home runs. Nicknamed the Hammer or Hammer and Hank, with his MLB record, it isn't difficult to figure out how he got those nicknames. His professional career lasted from 1954 to 1976. Aaron spent the first 21 years with the Milwaukee/Atlanta Braves and the last 2 years with the Milwaukee Brewers. Aaron, amidst racist death threats for getting ready to pass Babe Ruth's home run record, broke the record with 715 home runs on April 8th, 1974 for the Braves in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium against the LA Dodgers. After his retirement, Aaron worked in the front office of the Atlanta Braves, and he died on January 22nd in 2021 in Atlanta, Georgia. So again, that's from blackhistory.today. So every day there's a new entry, and there's going to be more Black history stuff coming throughout the month. Let's see, February 1st was the Gaelic Festival of Imbolc, which is a festival that marks the end of winter and the return of spring. It's celebrated by a lot of neo-pagans, Celtic Reconstructionist pagans, Druids, Wiccans, and pretty much anybody who likes to celebrate the changing of the seasons. February 1 through 7 is Interfaith Harmony Week, which I thought was kind of cool and fits in with our whole thing here. And then lastly, we have on February 7th is Black HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. So I'm going to read an entry from hiv.gov about that. Black communities have made great progress in reducing HIV, yet racism, discrimination, and mistrust in the healthcare system may affect whether Black people seek or receive HIV prevention services. These issues may also reduce the likelihood of engaging in HIV treatment and care. National Black HIV and AIDS Awareness Day is an opportunity to increase HIV education, testing, community involvement, and treatment among Black communities. This year's theme is Together We Can Make HIV Black History. It will be a virtual think tank that aims to fuel strategic efforts in Black communities to end the HIV epidemic by enhancing HIV awareness across social and service sectors, discussing HIV stigma across sectors that serve or impact Black communities, and providing insight into social nuances, resources, and gaps that help or hinder community HIV testing, treatment, and prevention from community change agents. So again, that was the entry from hiv.gov. If you visit their website, they have a whole section on Black HIV/AIDS awareness. And if you wanted to attend one of their information sessions, all that information is on there. So before I move on, I just want to say, going back to the Black History Month, Black History Month is not just a look back at, things going on from the dawn of time to decades ago. I think we can all agree in the past few years, especially, we have seen Black history actively being made through acts of police brutality, through pushback against the Black Lives Matter community, and just the rise of open white supremacy. Even in this community, we have seen huge problems with groups like the Patriot Front vandalizing buildings and posting up their posters. So I just wanted to mention that Black history is also things that are happening today. Stuff going on today is tomorrow's history. So it's important that we pay attention and that we speak out and we continue with our anti-racist work, so that when my children and grandchildren and future generations look back on this era, that they can see that the stances we took and the strides being made forward with Black history are positive ones and not steps backward. So today, it is our intent to share with each other our personal experiences with deconstructing faith and how that has shaped our religious beliefs and practices. We will listen to each other with open hearts and minds and support each other on our individual journeys without judgment. When others are sharing, we will not merely wait to speak, but actively listen so that we may learn from each other. And when it's our turn to share, we will do so unguarded and with the goal to teach. So today's topic is deconstructing faith. I missed something, didn't I? No, I'm in order. Sorry. No, I did. I have my pages in the wrong order. My apologies. The lighting of the chalice. So together, we don't have to stand. We're just going to keep it casual today. But if you'll join me in reciting the chalice lighting for the day. We seek our place in the world and the answers to our heart's deep questions. As we seek, may our hearts be open to unexpected answers. May the light of our chalice remind us that this is a community of warmth, of wisdom, and welcoming of multiple truths. And our usual affirmation: love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth, its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. Before we begin our discussion, we have the opportunity for us to unburden ourselves of our sorrows and concerns and to share with each other our joys. Anybody wish to start? Yep.
First candle I'm gonna light is for my husband who's doing well after his back surgery. Second candle is my daughter-in-law had neck surgery Thursday. She came home on Friday, and she is good with the help of medication. And then third one is for my brother who ended up in the hospital Friday, and the
Any others?
Obviously, I screwed up my hand.
Oh,
There was a
no, I see.
Cooking related event, so we're all hoping that I don't need to.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah. I would like to light one for Judy. Hopefully she'll be fully recovered soon. I'll light one for Erin. Any others?
Candle of Joy. Last night, got to go to the fourth floor artists first art event. 4 artists showcase their work. Another one who makes a couple of them make food. Cool quarter style meals. It's just a lot of fun getting in touch. Seeing that side of life.
Any others? Well, I will light one last one for all those that remain in our hearts. But maybe not that. All right, so we're gonna start with responsive reading number 650 in the hymnal. It's the only time you're gonna need the book today. I'm trying to go easy on everyone. Cherish your doubts, for doubt is the attendant of truth.
Doubt is the key to the door of knowledge. Is the servant of discovery.
A belief which may not be questioned binds us to error, for there is incompleteness and imperfection in every belief.
Doubt is the touchstone of truth. It is an acid which keeps away the false.
Let no one fear for the truth, that doubt may consume it, for doubt is a testing of belief.
The truth stands boldly and unafraid. It is not shaken by the testing.
For truth, if it be truth, arises from each testing stronger, more secure.
Those that would silence doubt are filled with fear. Their houses are built on shifting sands.
But those who fear not doubt and know its use are founded on rock.
They shall walk in the light of growing knowledge. Work of their hands shall endure.
Therefore, let us not fear doubt, but let us rejoice in its help.
It is to the wise as a staff to the blind.
So today's whole discussion is going to be based around that whole idea of cherishing our doubts, deconstructing our beliefs, taking stock of the things that we hold on to for our religious and spiritual practice as an effort to grow. So Naked Pastor, the man who coined the term in 2008, so this is a somewhat recent movement, says that faith deconstruction is not the slight changing of beliefs, but basically the demolition of one's belief system. This has been my favorite thing about Unitarian Universalism, is that it encourages people to question their beliefs and learn from different religions and philosophies and other paths and sources. And so in a sense, faith deconstruction is a core part of Unitarian Universalism. That is not the case for every religious organization, though, as many of you, I'm sure, know. Some faith communities do encourage folks to go through a process of introspection as a way of strengthening your beliefs. But others discourage the practice altogether, and in doing so, a practitioner may risk being shunned from their religious community. Of course, through the process of deconstruction, some may find their religion of origin no longer suits them, and they leave their faith community of their own free will. I'm one of those people. I know a lot of other people here went through something similar. On the other hand, I also know a lot of you here have been part of Unitarian Universalism for most of your life, or your whole life in some cases. And honestly, for you folks, I'm a little bit envious. You've been encouraged to seek and quest and question and learn and grow and break down and rebuild from the beginning. And I think that's an important skill set to have. So it's my goal that through our discussion today, that the folks like me who have gone or are going through sort of a deprogramming process as part of deconstruction can learn from the legacy you use, who have always had the freedom to seek their own truth. I think that together we can help each other learn what a free and responsible search for truth and meaning can look like when you have a supportive community that can help you through that process without fear of being shunned. So I'm gonna move the microphone into the center just so it can pick up everybody's stories and everything. And we're just gonna do this as a roundtable discussion, and then we'll wrap up in the traditional way. I think this will probably be sufficient.
Since everybody's
Yeah.
sitting.
All right, so since this really thing was my idea, I'll break the ice. So this whole, before faith deconstruction had a name, the concept certainly was existing. And I first started the process when I was a teenager in the Catholic Church going through confirmation classes. And the man that was kind of in charge of the confirmation process was actually a neighbor that I grew up with, and was a family friend and somebody, a known and trusted adult. And he took us into one of the sanctuaries. The church had two sanctuaries, upstairs and downstairs, and took us into we called it the lower church, and gave us this whole lecture about what the church was about, what the confirmation process means, and what it means to grow into an adult in the Catholic Church and that sort of thing. And sort of towards the beginning, he talked about how God made us all the way that we are, and he loves us however we are, and we should love and accept each other no matter what. And then an hour later, somehow circles around to homosexuality and how it's sinful and it's shameful and all this other stuff. And less than an hour ago, you just said God made us how we are, and we should love and accept each other. And now you're saying that the way some people are is bad. Well, why would God make them that way if he want us to love that? You know what I mean? And that was kind of the first moment where I realized I have been told all these things in this setting, and I have never stopped to think about what they mean for me or for the people that I love and care about, or for the morals and principles that I have been raised with at home. And they didn't line up. And that's how I started picking apart what I believe. And I have come to realize that I don't think I believe in God the way Christianity believes in God, though I certainly believe that there is some sort of divine presence. I came to realize that I don't believe that there is a heaven and hell, but I think that that is what we believe for ourselves, and through the way we are with others in our community. And just one by one, everything I was taught, I had to look at it, break it down, see if it worked felt right in my heart, and to see if I had to go through mental hoops to make it make sense. And still go through that process, even before we came to the beginning. And I started going back to the Catholic Church. And again, every Sunday on the drive home, we had to pick apart what we were just told and try to make it make sense to us. And everything that the priest that day told us, and the prayers to end abortion, and the prayers for the people in power that we really didn't agree with, and prayers for all of these other institutions that we just didn't think were right. And so we went through the deconstruction process again. Long story short, here we are. So I just wanted to start with that. And do we want to go around the circle? Easiest way? We'll go clockwise.
Yeah, I didn't prepare you about hearing about this all week. She was going to do all the talking for me. So I mean, I grew up Catholic, but it was like an off and on Catholicism. My parents were not like Catholicism. My mom was raised Catholic. My dad converted to marry her. He was raised Southern Baptist, so he already had his own issues. But yeah, like over time, we moved around a lot. I was in the Air Force. So sometimes we moved someplace new, we'd start going to church and stop, and sometimes we never start. But at the same time, every couple of years, I get sent to Catholic school because they're worried about public school. They're worried I was going to get beaten up every day by public school. So the Catholic school with all the military. And that was where like I started really running into. At that point, I was in middle school. I'd already been introduced to George Carlin, and so that's I think where the doubts started to creep in.
The ultimate deconstructionist.
And yeah, for a while, I just decided I'm an atheist. No, like George, I'm a sun worshiper. Or and it wasn't until like when I was in college and I went to a comparative world religions class that I started I learned this idea of henotheism. I never really stopped believing. I just didn't like the way every church said that they were the only one. Except for there are a couple of points, right? Like the Hindus don't seem to be competing with everybody. Buddhists don't seem to far away the highway. And I learned the term henotheism. It's a respect and a respect for the kernel of truth in all religions. Believing that there's some merit and purpose to all of them. That's where I think I mostly. I was raised in a
that they're most up to it. So and I found that really good benefits. It was just this a lot of ritual. When I was in church, I found first wonderful event, only the depths of all of it. And I really, the essence of it, in my professional training, things that are driving and I interpret experience. And the language of used, that's clarifying that the way it's stored. I like doing it.
Do you have any thoughts on this?
Oh, I haven't, to be honest, way too many times. I was born and raised Catholic my life. Well, I was really, I thought I was a priest. I really believed. Thinking I would enter the priesthood, and then read the Bible. Then I had priests of the church empty. Why did you read the Bible? All up and on, because I suddenly had all these questions about God being all powerful, all knowing, and Satan is banished to a pit, which is outside of God's vision. Well, if he's everywhere, how can he? God is not all powerful, like George Cowan said, is all powerful. He can do anything. State himself, make a rock, so they can everything. You know, if these come in, they just continue. And I'm not bashing Catholics, but I know a lot of great Catholics. That in my family, I have a lot of horrible Catholics. I won't speak it just bugs me that there's no logic or reasoning, a lot of it. And they just say, oh, you got to take it on faith. But I've always put my faith. I have to something that I'm not a gun or patriot. I have to make a declaration. And it's but probably the two most sacred doctrines for me. But they talk about habits, what's inside of you. Self. And yeah, that is right for one kids, but it's also right for life. I'm the thing like deficit. No, 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 no.
Mostly cut out the miracles.
Yeah, the miracles. Yes. Make a reason. I mean, he wasn't help, but at least he questioned faith. Body was blasphemous. But then it was prosecuted. Or he probably would have been. That's the other side. But I think the teachings of Jesus in how it means the people that are working for him. And, I think that's fine. Glad that my father put it out. I found out years after my Well, I was raised by who were Irish Catholic. Scottish Catholic. Sometimes. But Irish Catholic. Like, no, but he did. I would be reading books about angels, all this stuff. But I can tell you all the archangels and all that whole story. But and he used to say, "You're really." I said, "Well, not all of us. You know, it's entertaining." I don't mean to down it. But when I discovered movies, when I read the Bible, and they all got mad at me, I had to find answers. So I then started to read spirituality. I feel like I'm bragging, but hundreds of scripture. So actually studied it. They call it. I don't know. I forget that word. Or it's vertigo, or what it is true.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
There's there's like every religion has its own
yes.
place in the world.
And I was telling you just the other day, Aldous Huxley, we faith and religion, or bringing a philosophy, all the world's religion broken down. Quotes. He himself came to the same conclusion that every religion has a political 6 or 7 things common throughout every religion. That really helped me. Then came the time for my confirmation. Like they had a big all with the system. At that time, the bishop still smacked you in the face at the end of the ceremony. Down the line, smacked you in the face. Probably just because he
Run the gauntlet.
yeah. But then they tell you, you know, don't be a hypocrite. One of the commandments is don't lie. So when I told them I didn't believe in it, I didn't. If they hit the roof, oh my God, we're going to do something. Finally, my father told me, wait, I'm not going to make it by that. So I am the only one who constantly I honor the spiritual religious person in the family, and you're not even. Funny, I found out that my godfather just married my aunt, started going with Christian. He turned out to be more of a loving Christian than most people raised. I will hand it off to somebody else. Because I could go on and on. I encourage this. I would actually like it. That's
When my kid gets older.
one of my long-term goals.
So we bring it when my kid gets older, we'll bring it back.
Start opening minds.
And nobody feel like you have to share if you don't want to.
My first memory. The congregation. And my parents didn't necessarily. Well, anyway, we started going to congregation. I was so young, only so that's. Then they built a new Methodist. Very close. Moving stuff. That was okay. A little while. Driving with several classes. Crowded. Then we formed a youth group. That was my favorite. As a youth group, we even painted. And stuff. I remember at one meeting, somebody, it was the minister's son, that said, so boring, this church. And, you know, it was like, you can't say that. Minister's son. But, you know, he had a point. So, we kind of followed through the rest of the, you know, being provided. Opened the church. Came on any team, which was a great success. Then things started to move. They so as a teenager myself, I stuck on the church. Like many. And then when I was getting that, I was on that. So of course it would be that was, then we had children. So, in your house. And then I, for years, almost 14, that was just another phase in the chair. Go on, go away from on, and see like anywhere between 40 and 80 teenagers running the whole show, doing their own worship services. And what they would come up with, how many times I would sit there and we would all be so moved and we're all sitting there. It's all love. So much love. It's incredible. I also remember from that, I only had brought in kids from school. So, and that was great. A lot of good kids. One thing I only like, and he went to Holy Family. He went after service, the priest is out with him with the Lord. And several Sundays, only we stopped. Sundays. And then one Sunday, you know, we don't ask about it. This is the way it is. this church is. He goes, okay, wasn't having a good time anyway. So, you know, he came to, youth group meeting that Sunday. Maybe it wasn't. Aaron, holding him. And then he went on years. Made a great impression. So that's just a little tip. Another thing is, I think, anytime I went to a Catholic church, I didn't understand what they were saying, and it would just went on. It didn't give me anything that I could relate to. Just couldn't grasp. So now as a UU for years, I worked in a doctor's office for a couple of doctors before was Muslim. For the most part, there were always these. One that really did. Like, never give you more. And, you know, just them talking about sports and sports and, you know, on Sundays, you know, I go to church Saturday, Sundays. And I still, you know, I'm like, well, then with my kids growing up, and they're all being involved in soccer games, different things on Sunday. And well, we go to church on Sunday, and we'll say, let's just go on Saturday. Like, I'm not Catholic. Is this a Catholic sport? You know, I don't get it. So, anyway, those are, yeah. But I will say that in the last 5 years, coming up more to, I was starting to put up the wall or a fence, little peepholes was dedicated because they didn't understand me. Their way was the right way. They would look at you like, you know, I was, but I'm paying more attention. I'm realizing that one of the times, and they like the way this church is. But when it came time to baptize, even though you said that I have even more recently new people that in just casual conversations, but they were people. So coming down, that's always
brought up a really good example, of how in some communities, protecting their faith being shunned. And or whether it's being shunned by a priest saying maybe this church isn't for you, or family making you feel like not explore what is true to you, and stay in something that can be traumatizing for some people to stay in a big community that doesn't allow you to come. So I appreciate those examples. Erin, you have very different experience from everybody so far.
That's not why I stayed. I love it here. It's big picture. This is exactly how I over this way. Even every service here, still not. But it's all that. To other. It seems very good to me. See that? Just mostly to me, it's about pay.
Well, I grew up. And, I always. I was up in college. Here, he's priest for the people. And not only that, oh, look, as time went on, you story is very long. And I could go on, of course. Moved around, my wife. Tired there. But then years now, we've been here, just looking for. That like to be there. Moved to Rockland. 2 years ago, I kept looking. Only when I saw the beliefs of the church, I believe unity is welcoming everybody, loving and kind, wanting to do good things to people, and feedback. essentially, I'm looking for, can you do that? Fine. Or
You don't have to share if you don't want to.
Speaking. I was dedicated here in this church, and it's been my church for my whole life. I don't remember coming to Sunday school in grade or so. My classes together here. Here, and those two things were dividers and stuff like that. I don't remember learning a lot. It was more or less here with my friends, and have fun. As I older, teenage years, wasn't coming to church anymore. I probably lived in that apartment building right on the other side. And then we moved the street over, and I still came here. I was living. Came back. Singing in the choir. I did that. And I had a lot of people that I had remembered before. And years away that I had. And there was two ladies that sang in the choir that, oh, yeah, we need extra places, So I came Sundays just to sing in the choir. And as I did, I got more involved in the church. That I like family. Yes,
Sure.
but it's a great place to be. Raised my kids here, even though my husband was Catholic. I had Catholic church, and I said, they're all raised with this Catholic, but I knew I wasn't going to do. And I think it was a good choice.
I appreciate you sharing, because I know it's not good, it's always comfortable.
Looks like shocked at all, but I grew up Catholic. And I could, like probably any of us, all day talking about our bitterness, sex and we'll choose not to do that, and focus more on the faith aspect. A lot of people grow up in super ego-based religions like many others. There's a prescription that you believe X, Y, Z. That's it, and that I think a lot of and then in other spiritual life, it's all laid out for you. And I think a lot of people find a lot of comfort in that, like okay, and that makes them feel very confident. I do this, and all I have to do is there's no I don't. And I remember, for a long time, like really wishing I actually believed that. Really wishing that I could fully buy into the Catholic, because I grew up Catholic at the time, we believe in Jesus and the Trinity and all of this stuff. Wouldn't that be so nice? I have everything figured out. And I, as I've gotten older, I mean, aside from glaring hypotheses that being very hard to swallow, I realized those are not the things that I believe. I have no idea what happens. I have no idea about some man who what God is. And that's okay. What I like about being here and what draws me to is that it's okay to say, you know, no idea. No idea what I believe, I have no idea what there is, whatever it is, it's far beyond. And that the things that you do focus on are the things that I actually care about, the things in the here and now that I've always been you know, creating our life here on earth. You know, I got a little bit out of the going to the Jesuit parish and college that they do, but I remember thinking like, this isn't enough for me. They focus a little bit on this stuff and then revert back to this and that's what I really appreciate. Focus on the things that, you know, I think really matter, how we treat other people, and not having and that it being okay and being able to sit with people of not knowing what there is and not
We went to church every Sunday. Not really any talk about it. I said I was going to start going to church, which was so I think that was more of a rebellious thing. With it. Well, years, but I was really into the so I just read a lot of books. Oh, it just say like dear God. Really. Then I started kind of finding my place. Oh, thing. So I started taking on visits, like of my beliefs and everything came out. Okay, but that's all I'm say. And then when I had Violet, I really wanted to have them they were part of something in the Catholic Church and we talk about. So we came here. It was actually eight. So that was like I don't know church you go back the first thing. So I think we really got over that. We tried to speak a little bit about no, I don't think trust home I feel like I believe for me, like I'm so spiritual. It's really
Carlos Davis. Very cool. Stars being.
Noticed a few commonalities beyond just half of
That's what happened.
one thing that jumps out at me is I feel like those of us who were raised in faith communities where we were discouraged questioning, that was a barrier to finding a family connect. And then I look at the folks who have been here their whole lives for a long time.
thing that happens that they're getting out of this community is they have family, it's love and support. So even if it's, whether you feel spiritually connected or not, that is a commonality that we all share. Yeah, I find that that's very unfortunate for people who feel like they can't leave religion that they are questioning and maybe don't feel connected, not getting, spiritually, they're not getting what they need, certainly, but also they're not getting this. They're not getting a group of friends that they can, be with and engage with and do the bigger things in the world with if they want to do. I think that's very sad. And that's simply because wherever they are is telling them you can't ask questions. And they should be able to ask questions. Maybe it'll lead them away from their church or wherever they are, but maybe it won't. But by pushing people away just for asking questions, that's really such a detriment to that individual. So that was one thing that I feel like jumped out in this discussion. The repetition of here I am and I found this group of people that I'm not so close to. The other commonality I think I've seen is a lot of people finding that their spirituality is beyond just the prescription of God in the Christian sense or God in the Jewish sense, because it's still an Abrahamic religion. But that a lot of people see that is more expansive, that it is nature, that it is science, that it is human connection, that it is the here and now. And that kind of goes back to what you were saying, the kernel of truth in all beliefs, that even though we've all come from different backgrounds, that's something that we all connect to, is that, what is God or divine, what has spiritual meaning to us is not just this one tiny thing. It's many things that are all interconnected. So those are the two big takeaways I've gotten from listening to you all. And I think that is why this process of deconstruction is so important. I also think there's secular ramifications. If you grow up in a place that doesn't let you question, that discourages you from constructing, you can't question authority, and you can't question God, and you can't look at your beliefs and build and expand upon them, that bleeds out beyond just religion. That bleeds out into life. You can't question unjust laws. You can't question people in positions of authority who are abusing that authority. You can't question, police officers who are not doing their job in a way that is, safe and in a way that is actually harmful. You cannot question politicians that are changing laws and making life miserable for people. And all of that is connected to being raised in a community where you're not allowed to. And I think that's a huge problem. We're all kind of seeing that huge problem play out in real time in our world. Faith deconstruction came about as a counter to evangelicalism. And clearly it has applications across the board, but yeah, Naked Pastor and the current movement that is faith deconstruction is mainly about deconstructing evangelical Christianity and the harm that is coming from creating this environment where you cannot question, you cannot stand up and speak truth to power. Yes, please.
In all fairness, I could disease you.
Absolutely, please do.
There's not everything I agree with the UUA ways it is going, but what I or I am you and you are me, you're all together. All that, I just, and I really think that Unitarian Universal has, you said, broader application. And I think Einstein said that he didn't know about you. He said that that the religion or the faith of the future that he thought was best for all of mankind was Buddhism. But I would change that new. Expansive. I really do think that the attitude, better politics, better finance, better the way we use in society. Tell that to people. I'm talking to them at home. I just say, look into it. I've always had respect. Anything.
Friend of mine, just you leaving that. That's a question right away. My response, given all of it. I want that. Sound revolution. Somebody's all right.
He knows
He knows
how I was about
yeah.
it.
Say. I think on this question. And those who really know application. There are a few things. Just reading by Olivia Brown, Stand by This Faith.